Okay, welcome back, shrub crafters. You have decided that you really like to be aggravated. You've decided that you like to be frustrated. And that you've decided that no challenge is too big or too small, so you have decided to go with a rock lock, a flintlock, a flinch lock. You said, I'm going for the oldest style, the hardest style, with the exception of a matchlock, which we won't get into because I don't own one and not even interested in them, but the flintlock. And you said, you know what, I like to be frustrated. I like to question whether or not my load's going to go off consistently every time. And I want to know that when that big buck is right in front of my gun, and I know that I've got a good charge and everything's good, and I pull that trigger and then the gun goes whoosh, boom, and you fell off the target and you missed your buck. That happened to me. Because you're sitting out in the cold, the damp, the rain, the snow, and you fall off the shot. That's what you do with one of these, and I love them. These are my favorite. I love flintlocks. The challenge of these, they make you a better shooter. They teach you follow through, and they teach you how not to flinch. Definitely phenomenal. So, what's the difference between this and the percussion that you were just looking at? Well, it's this right here. On your lock, this mechanism again, which has your hammer, your cock. You have a frizzen, that's this piece, and that is hardened steel that gets struck by your flint. These are razor sharp. I've sliced myself repeatedly on these, not intentionally, especially in cold weather. Your hand glances against them. This is a sharp rock. This is a double set trigger again. Rear trigger sets it, front set fires it. This is on half cock right now. So when I go to pull the trigger, and I'm going to block my eyes because I don't have glasses on because the chunks are flying, and all my powder's closed. There we go. That fires it. Here we go. Back to full cock. One more time. Hi, Cassie. Half cock. Hi, Cassie. Go on, baby, get. Come on. Alright, so why are these harder than percussion? One simple fact. You're trying to get a spark off of here to ignite a charge down in there that then has to ignite, get sucked in through the side, hit this charge, and go off. It happens within milliseconds if everything's done right. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see me go boom, miss, boom, miss. It goes off, but it's not sucking in. And there's quirks with every gun, trying to figure it out. Flint's too long, too short, just right. That's what makes these fun. Once you've got it figured out, your consistency should be as consistent as a percussion. Your speed of firing should be almost the same as a percussion. And really it's just staying on the shot, and if everything is working, it's going to be almost as fast as a percussion. Almost as fast. Things that can go wrong on these. When you're putting your flint in, you have to have it secured in the jaws. I have leather on this one. You can use lead or leather, and that's going to lock in. You got to tighten these down. You really got to tighten them down because they can come loose and fall out of there. This has a spring right here on the outside as well as a spring on the inside, and when this goes forward again, I'll show you that. You're going to watch this, it's going to roll. They roll forward. If this spring is too hard, they kind of stop. If it's too soft, they fly really fast. You're looking for a good consistent shower spark going down the middle, and you'll see there's an edge shape right here. You can put that down or up. You got to see what works best, which size flint, everything. So it just adds another dynamic to a learning curve with these guns. I love them. They look cool. They are cool. Going back to the last Mohicans thing, they're just cool. They're one of the oldest guns still in use today, and one of the original, very first guns that were ever made out there. It was this style of lock after the matchlock. The biggest thing that you can see if you want to see frustration and failure right now, and I'm still working through them, is go look at the Sitting Fox videos, and you'll see what a flintlock shouldn't do. And if you want to see what a flintlock should do, go watch any of the ones with my Pedersoli, what is that called? That's the Pennsylvania, the Pedersoli Pennsylvania one. That gun goes off every freaking time, and if it doesn't go off, it's either because I'm trying to get, I think there was one I was trying to get like 25 or 30 shots off of a flint. I wasn't wiping the frizzen down to clean it off, so it was gummed up, gunked up, black powder everywhere, and I wasn't vent picking. So that brings me to the next thing. What do you need on these? You don't need a screwdriver. You just got to get something to get into this little tiny hole. They sell these kits with all these dangly bits. This is just a Flintlock kit. It's got a boar's hair brush. Honestly, it doesn't do dick. I'm sorry, it doesn't do anything. You try to clean it off, and it's kind of a joke. It's good for clearing priming powder out of the pan that's dry, but once it gets shot, it doesn't do anything. This set has a fatter and then a thinner. This thinner one tends to go in everything. The fatter one's more for like a musket. But that's what you vent pick. So you load up whatever caliber you get, you throw your powder down. You put your patch and ball down. Simplest way to do it right now. You've got everything down there, you've set it. You're going to take this small one, or whichever one fits in your vent line or a hole, and you're going to kind of you're going to pack it in there. You're creating a little cavity right there. And that's all you're doing, is you're creating a cavity. Then you'll see, and I don't have it in here, and I apologize for that, it's in all my videos, but there is a powder trickler that I push down. It's got a spring load, and you push it and pull out, and it puts about 3 or 4 grains of powder into this pan. You then close that. Well, you'll see me sometimes tap this, and what that does, it kind of seats the powder and slightly pulls it away from the hole. The proper touch hole should be just shy of full of this side, or of this pan, and just off the touch hole, because it kind of creates a little vacuum and sucks in. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That's what my understanding is. So when that's closed, on half cock, you walk around, life's all good. You set your rear trigger, and I walk around with a gun with a rear trigger set for hunting, and all it takes is the front one. What's nice is on these locks, I can pull a trigger, and it doesn't do anything. So I don't only have, this is set. I don't have to worry about anything, and when the deer come out, I do real quiet, and bang, you've got one. And I'll do that. I've shot these without safety glasses during hunting season because, let's face it, I have glasses on all the time. I lose them, I set them down, I move. You can. They're not going to hit you in the eye. Odds of you getting a shard of rock in your face next to nothing could happen. So always wear your safety glasses even when hunting, and ear protection when hunting if you want to. But this going off in front of your face takes some getting used to. It does. I don't care who you are. Unless you're starting on these, and this is all you know, it does take some getting used to. Something that will help you is take this flint out and get a small piece of wood and put it in the jaws. That's the same size as your flint. Close this and just dry fire. Set, bang. Or one single trigger, bang. Pull the trigger. Because this actually, as it throws, you will feel your frizzen go forward a little bit, and there's a little pop to it, a little bit of jerk. So you're really going to learn follow through with these guns. When they're wet, this one has, and it's hard to see, but if you look, hopefully this is coming in, but if you look on the underside here, there's a little ridge, and that ridge mates up to the top of the pan. And when it closes, it seals this overall pretty good. Some people will actually run wax around here, beeswax, to keep water out. I don't go to that extreme. When I'm walking, even in the rain and the snow, I just kind of cup my hand over it, gloved hands. I'll throw it in the crook of my arm, and my hand goes like this over that lock. And I've actually still had consistent, almost 100% ignition every time. When you're out and about, if you're wandering with these, a good sealing pan and frizzen is a must. I have in my Sitting Fox, which again, not trashing them, but there's a lot of things wrong with that gun. It seals nicely, but I've noticed that when I'm walking, my powder falls out a little bit, even though it should be sealing, which means it needs a little bit of smoothing and finish work to get everything nice. because you should be able to turn these up. Like this one I can turn upside down, go around, go all over the place. If I were to open it up, the powder may have shifted in there, but it's still always there. Same thing with my Pedersoli, Pedersoli Pennsylvania. So the Pedersoli Pennsylvania, I can turn around, upside down, go all the way around. Same thing with this gun. You should be able to fill it, move, twist, tune, walk through the woods, and it'll go off. In terms of Flintlock, I love them. They're great. They're one of those guns that when you get it right and with a little trial and error, it works excellent. There are some frustrating aspects of everything, but if you're doing the basic hot water cleaning methods, you're keeping everything clean. The only thing you have to worry about between shots is on this frizzen. A lot of people will carry a rag and some alcohol, isopro alcohol, and they'll wipe this down. You'll see me in the videos go like this occasionally, and that's just getting that white powder residue off. And you'll see me wipe my flint off occasionally. But you'll also see me in some of the videos where I'm just going hammering on this shoot, because let's face it, it's fun to shoot. And I'm not wiping between shots. I'm not picking all the time between shots, and you're going to see in some of these videos I'm still going to town, still going off almost consistently. Again, if you want 100% ignition, you're going to do that every time. For the fun of the videos, you just keep going until you don't. But something of note, Pyrodex is extremely hard to go off in here. Pyrodex powder. Check out the powder video if you have any questions, but I prefer real black powder, and most people who shoot Flintlock will tell you real black powder. It has a much easier burn point, and you put 4F, very fine powder in the pan, and 2F in a 50, 54, or 3F even works. So pick your powder based on the powder video and the caliber of the gun you're shooting. Go with real black powder. Order it online from Graf Brothers, Powder Valley Inc., Powder Inc., any of those companies, or your local store if you have one that carries real black powder. Won't even waste your time with Blackthorn, Blackhorn, 209, 777s, or Pyrodex if you can help it. Pyrodex will work. I use Pyrodex in my 36 with 20 grain charges going off, but I'm also using real black powder 4F in the pan. So you have a real black powder charge going off, hopefully trying to get that. Still inconsistent. It is harder to set off, so go with that. The Lionsford is the premium powder of the GoX line, I believe. GoX is American-made company. Support them if you can. But the old Eynsford, a lot of people say, is the premium line. I've used everything from generic GoX. I've used the Graf version of the same thing. I decided to try the old Eynsford. I've used Swiss. I've used Schutzen. I honestly cannot tell the difference on generic hunting loads. I'm still getting nice tight groupings. I'm still getting consistent patterns. I'm sure if I was paper punching and I was really trying hard to do tight one-hole groups or cloverleaf groups, I probably would see a difference between the powders. But I'm not bench resting these guns, never will. I'm leaning against trees, I'm leaning against rocks, and I'm shooting at deer, and I'm shooting at small game, and I'm shooting at steel targets. That's what I go for, and my accuracy, if I can get a shot like that, and I can get a group like that, at a consistent distance, that's perfectly acceptable for me. When it comes to squirrels, if I can get a nice quarter-size group at 25, 35 yards, that's awesome. That's what I'm looking for, and that's resting against something, a tree or whatever, because you're looking for quick and humane. There is one thing of note inside of here, and if you watch the video on the Sitting Fox, I talk about a vent liner or lack thereof. In here, there's a shiny spot, and that is actually called a vent liner. That's where your bolster is on your percussion guns. This vent liner is slotted, so you can unscrew that and get into the side of the firearm. So in the event that this gun doesn't go off and you keep having problems in the woods, take your lock out. You can take your vent liner out, and you can actually pour powder straight into the side. But you have to take the lock off to get access to the vent liner because your lock sits against that and it's probably partially covered. Other than that, you're good to go. So you have your powder patch and ball. You've got your priming charge here. You've got a flint here, and you've got steel. What I love about this is that you don't need to carry around percussion caps. All you got to do is make sure you have a flint, carry an extra or two, and an extra piece of lead or leather and get yourself, and know it's not traditional, I know it's not politically correct out in the cool world of American muzzleloaders, but get a pair of, or a Leatherman set. That way you can really crank down on this, because this only has a slot. Some have a hole through, and if they do, get a rod that fits and tighten the crap out of it so you don't lose these. I have lost flints out there just coming loose, and a Leatherman, wrap it in soft leather on the jaws, and that way you don't mark up the screw, but tighten the crap out of it and you're good to go. So hope that helps with some of your selection. The only thing different on here that you need to do is you have to have some kind of pick. If you want to make your own pick, get some guitar strings, especially if you're a guitar player already. Get some guitar strings, get the fatter gauge strings, and they have that little eyelet right on the bottom on the string through body, that little tiny eyelet. Cut it to whatever length you want, use that, and you can actually fit it right here, and a piece of dental floss goes right through that hole. Clip it off to your bag and you're good to go, or clip it to the hand guard. That way you've always got one ready to go, because you don't want to you're always going to lose something out there. You're like, oh man, I forgot it. And attach it to the bag so that you don't ever not have something. That's it. Simple and easy. These are as simple as they come, and I love it because you have your flint and steel right here, so when you forget your caps, which I've done before, you've got something that's going to go bang. Hope that helps. Hope that explains some of the differences. There's lots of good information out there. Go with what you like. Go with what is sexy. Go with what you want to be shooting out there. Don't let anybody tell you differently. No matter what you get, it's what you want. All of them work. As you'll go watch my Sitting Fox video, it works. Does it work well? No. Will it? Absolutely. But it's going to require some work. My suggestion, if you're looking for a flintlock that is reliable, out of the gate, that's not a custom build, and there's a lot of awesome builders out there, but a lot of lead times and things. If you can't find one used, go with a Pedersoli in terms of the flintlocks. They are awesome. I've not had any issues. I think his name's Mark and Black Powder Maniac. He mentioned, I think in one of his videos, that he had an issue with a lock, and he talked to Pedersoli and they replaced it or fixed it. I've had an issue with a lock, but not my flintlock. I had it with my percussion gun. Got some decent work out of it the first time. Still cost me a little bit of money, but not much to get it fixed because I was well out of warranty. But I've not had any problem with my flintlocks from them. Those guns are phenomenal. Lyman makes their Great Plains in a flintlock. I have never used their flintlock Great Plains, but I have heard that there are some geometry angle issues, and sometimes the frizzen is not hardened right. I've heard. Can't verify that, and that sometimes that takes a little bit more. Sometimes takes a little bit more to get it to go bang. There are Thompson Center Hawken kits, which are not traditional Hawkins, but it's their interpretation. That people say the same thing, that a lot of the early ones had some issues. Some people say the later ones had issues. There were pre-safety ones. There's a lot of different stuff out there. So do your research. Go to the muzzleloading forums, check them out, ask questions. There's a lot of good people out there and a lot of good resources. So when it comes to a flintlock, do yourself a favor, get whichever one you want, and just do a little bit of research. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and you should be good to go. And welcome to this world if you're just getting into it. I love what people call unmentionables, modern firearms. Man, I love them. I love flintlocks and I love percussion. I love black powder. There's something nice about this combination of developing the load and putting it together that just is awesome. We'll talk about load development here in a whole separate video, but if you have specific questions to this video, ask them here, and I hope this helps you getting into the world of flintlocks.